In this video, we will talk about the recommended amounts and types of activity you should be doing so that you can build your own exercise program. People often ask me how to start working out, and those people usually aren't really active and wonder where to start to live a healthier lifestyle. So maybe you've stopped working out years ago and don't know where to start again, or maybe you've never exercised but are overwhelmed by the amount of information online. So I hope this video can help you with that. Let's get to it. So who is this video for? This video is aimed towards adults 18 to 64 with no previous pathology. I will be based on the World Health Organization guidelines on physical activity and sedentary behavior, published in 2020. So you are welcome to check them out after this video. They will be linked in the description. First, I'm gonna talk about the different kinds of exercise that can be practiced and a little bit about their benefits and examples of those kind of exercises. First is what we may know as cardio or aerobic exercise. I try to make a simple definition because sometimes it's difficult to differentiate types of exercise. They have some sort of overlap. So let's just think of cardio as anything that will get our heart beating faster from a prolonged amount of time. So the different benefits are going to be cardiovascular health improvement, reduction of pain due to different pain control mechanisms, and hormone release. Also the psychosocial effects of exercising, like socializing, like feeling better, the control of weight in the form of weight loss and calorie expenditure, cognitive function. Exercise has been shown to protect us against cognitive degeneration and decrease of overall mortality. The benefits I highlighted in blue will appear again on different kinds of exercise, and that's something I wanted to show you for you to see the overlap in exercise and how combining these kinds of exercise can be beneficial. So examples of cardio would be walking, running, swimming, cycling, and also most sports. So strength exercise can be defined as any kind of exercise where the body has to fight a resistance and it will activate our muscles. Its benefits: musculoskeletal health, mostly in the form of strength, of resistance, of independence. At the end of the day, being stronger, what's gonna lead to us is being more independent. Due to different mechanisms, it will have all the previous benefits we mentioned before. It will decrease our pain, it will have psychosocial effects, it will help us lose weight, it will affect our cognitive function, etc. So different examples can be calisthenics and weightlifting. Mostly calisthenics is gonna be exercise with our own body and weightlifting with external weights. And I put bouldering in there just because it's also pretty intense as a sport. So in this graphic, what we can see is the different benefits of each kind of exercise. The ones that appear rounded in green are the ones shared both between strength and cardiovascular exercise. So you can see that there's a lot of overlap, but then there's benefits that will only appear with certain kind of exercise, like the improvement of muscle strength and mitigating the decline in muscle mass, or the increase in cardiorespiratory function. So the idea is that we combine these kinds of training so that we get as many benefits as possible. So what about flexibility? Flexibility training, I would define it as anything that works on your range of motion. Its benefits: it's mostly an improvement in range of motion of our joints, but it can also help with pain and the different psychosocial effects of training. Different examples, they are pretty much dedicated stretching as well as yoga. I would say that right now it's not really mandatory to add flexibility into your training unless you have very limited range of motion, because in some way or another your flexibility will be trained with resistance training. Also, I would like to point out that more research is needed. Maybe in the future flexibility training is really recommended, but for now it's not a must. However, it can be beneficial for most individuals, so it's probably a really good idea to also add it into your training program. And lastly, we're gonna talk about balance exercises. I would say these are any kind of exercises that work on your balance. The benefits, it's mostly decreasing the risk of falls. And what I would say about it is that it's not really necessary yet. Our balance will be trained with other methods like our resistance training, our sports, and such. But if you like it and you want to train it, you can. It is recommended for the elder, but not really for younger adults. So what are the recommendations for adults according to the World Health Organization guidelines? In regards to strength training, the recommendation is 2 or more days a week from moderate to vigorous intensity. They mostly recommend to program training for big muscle groups, making a program based on big movements such as rows, such as squats, such as bench press, push-ups, deadlifts, whatever, using big muscle groups, not based on isolation exercise. Isolation exercises, of course, are okay, but the bigger part of the program should be based on multi-articular exercises. And I also wrote there as a priority. What do I mean by priority? So you are probably doing some sort of cardio throughout your life. Maybe you are walking to work, maybe you do some sports, maybe you like to go out cycling from time to time, but more people are likely to not train any kind of resistance training compared to cardiovascular training. So I would say if you have to add something into your program, add strength training. It's gonna make the most difference. If you have something to add, have it be strength training. And then about cardiovascular training. So the recommended amounts are 150 to 300 minutes of moderate intensity exercise or 75 to 150 minutes of vigorous exercise, or an equivalent combination of both of them. I would say, ideally, if you can, add interval training over steady state training. So interval training will be that in which you increase the intensity and then lower your heartbeat and then go again up on your heartbeat. I will talk about it a little bit more in following videos, but the idea is that interval training will improve on the chronotropism of your heart, which is the ability it has to start beating faster and then to relax and lower your heartbeat. So that ability of the heart is related with longer lifespan. Again, I will talk more in detail about it in a future video, but if you can, choose interval training. If not, or if you don't like it, steady state cardio is okay also. So some tips, I would say start with something sustainable. In the guidelines, it's very clearly mentioned that some exercise is better than no exercise. Also, benefits will occur below recommended doses. It's better to start small and then add more volume as you enjoy your training. And also, increased exercise meaning more quantity than in the guidelines, seems to elicit more benefits, but there's not really enough research to quantify how much. Also, adapt the intensity and the type of exercise to your actual level of fitness and to your enjoyment. It's more important that you do an activity you like and that you can sustain for a long time than to go and practice something you don't really like and you are never gonna maintain. Also, try to assume exercise is a lifelong routine activity. It's the moment of the day where we are taking care of our body and making sure it's as well preserved as it can be. Also, try to reduce sedentary time as much as possible, since it has a direct relation with mortality. And consider active transportation, meaning walking places, meaning biking places. It's a way of adding cardio into your routine so that you don't really have to think about it. So if it's possible, consider it. And also I wanted to mention these are just guidelines considering current scientific evidence. For example, strength training will probably be even more recommended in the future than it's currently. So let's talk about an example program. So this is Paul. Paul is in his 20s. He's currently sedentary and he doesn't really like the idea of going to the gym. He enjoys being outdoors, he enjoys being with people, so he wants to become healthier, but he doesn't know what to do. So an example training we could do with him is for our strength needs, training calisthenics. It's gonna be something he can train outdoors or he can train at home with exercise with his own body weight, like pull-ups, push-ups, squats, without the need of going to the gym, which he doesn't like. So maybe Monday and Wednesday we do that strength training and we leave the door open to a third training day on Friday or Sunday. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays we will do 60 minutes of walking, which in the future, maybe as he enjoys training more, he starts feeling better in his body, maybe he decides to work a little bit more on his running, or maybe he starts running with people and then on Saturdays he likes to go for 90 minutes of cycling outdoors at a moderate pace. So as you can see, this is a pretty doable routine for this case. Again, it can be mixed, it can be changed for whatever your needs are. This is not something fixed. This is open to your needs. So another example is Anna. She is 50, she hasn't exercised in a long time, but she really doesn't mind going to the gym. She just wants to be healthier and do some exercise. And she used to like dancing because she enjoys the social aspect of it. So an example program would be maybe going to the gym 3 times a week, where she would do her strength training with machines. If you have never trained with weights or are quite sedentary, I would say start with machines, with big movements. They are easier to start with, and then you can progress later into free weights if you desire to. And after this strength session, she's going into the elliptical for 30 minutes and she's doing interval training. Again, this cardio can be changed for whatever you like. And then on Saturdays, she goes to dancing classes for 90 minutes to complete and round out her program. And the last thing I wanted to talk about more on a philosophical way. Someone may say, is this all worth it? Is it worth it to spend so much time on the week on exercising, on lifting weights, being in a gym, whatever? So first of all, just try to find something that you enjoy, that isn't painful for you. If you don't like the gym, there's no point in going to the gym. Try to find something that adapts to you. I would say it is worth to spend all this time in training, if you want to age with dignity and to try to live as much quality time as possible, as you can see on this image, the likelihood of you being independent, both cognitive and physically, as you age, if you do exercise, is quite high compared to if you have a sedentary life. So it's just an investment on your life and on your body, which I'm nowhere to judge, but I would say it's at least worth a thought. So thank you so much for watching. I hope it was helpful.